Hi, this is Joey McGuire with GM of Murfreesboro and PlanetJoeyMcGuire.com. Today I want to be talking with you about the absolute best way to buy a car. The first thing to keep in mind when you go to buy a car is it is essential to know what your credit score is. Now when I say know your credit score, I'm not saying go to the free online sites, because in my experience those are wildly inaccurate. So fork out the 12 bucks, whatever it is today, and find out what your real credit score is. A second thing to keep in mind before coming to the dealership is to have a good idea about what kind of vehicle you're looking for. This sounds obvious, but you'd be amazed at how many people show up at the dealership without a clue. I'm looking for a car. Okay. The way to do this is you can do it the way that we sales professionals do it. You can make a list of your needs and your wants and bring those to the dealership with you when you come. Now, there's a difference between needs and wants. A need would be maybe you have a growing family and you need more space. That is a need. A want would be, well, it needs to be silver ice metallic with 18-inch wheels. That's something that isn't necessarily a need. Maybe you want that, but it might not be a deal breaker. Another need is maybe you have a horse trailer you have to tow, and you have to have a vehicle that can tow 12,500 pounds. We can do that for you. That is a legitimate need. The want would be, but it's got to have leather seats and Bluetooth. So make a list of your wants and your needs, and that should give you a pretty good idea about what kind of vehicle you're looking for, and it'll help us when you get to the dealership find a vehicle you're looking for a lot faster. Another thing to keep in mind before you head down to the dealership is how much vehicle can you realistically afford? This again sounds obvious, but in my experience a lot of people don't have a clue how much vehicle they can actually afford. So there's nothing worse than to get to the dealership believing that you're going to be driving off in the latest, greatest SUV with all the bells and whistles, and to find out that you can only afford a 2008 subcompact pre-owned, and that's if you have $5,000 down. So here's a rule of thumb to keep in mind before you head to the dealership that should give you an idea about how much vehicle you can realistically expect to be driving away with. We call it the 20 per 1,000 rule. It means that for every $1,000 that you're going to be financing, you can expect your payments to be about $20. That means for a $10,000 vehicle, if you're financing $10,000, you can expect your payments to be about $200 per month. And this is just an average. This is a ballpark. It's not 100% all the time, but it's a good rule of thumb to follow. If you're looking at a $20,000 vehicle, you can expect your payments to be about $400 a month. A $30,000 vehicle, about $600 a month, and so on. So that should give you a ballpark idea about what kind of vehicle you should be looking at. Something else you want to keep in mind before you head down to the dealership, especially if you're planning on trading in your current vehicle, is something that we call negative equity. Negative equity just means that you owe more on your vehicle than the market says this vehicle is worth. For example, let's say that you owe $16,000 on your vehicle and you bring it down to us to have it appraised, and it appraises for, say, $9,000. That means you have $7,000 in negative equity. Now, there are two ways to combat negative equity. Number one is you can make a sizable down payment. Number two is you can buy a new vehicle that has significant manufacturer rebates and incentives. These incentives go a long way toward eating up that negative equity. That's why if you do come to the dealership with a bunch of negative equity, almost always the sales professional is going to steer you toward the newer vehicles. Another thing to keep in mind before going to the dealership, and lots of people don't understand this, but if you haven't been to a dealership in, say, 10 years or so, you might be in for a small shock. Because as much as a lot of people like to dispute this, we do not have the markups that we had 10, 20, 30 years ago. The reason for that is the internet. The internet has leveled the playing field, because every dealership these days, if they're going to compete, every dealership has a website. And on this website, they list the prices of their vehicles. Now, these prices have to be competitive. It's not like in the old days where nobody knew the actual price of what this vehicle was supposed to be. Now it's out there for everybody to see. So the price you see on the internet is the actual lowest price we can go. And especially with newer vehicles, many times you have to qualify for that internet price. You have to own certain types of vehicles. Maybe if you're in a certain lease, if you qualify for certain GM supplier discounts, that will qualify you for that internet price. Keep in mind, not everybody actually qualifies for that low internet price. So the days of haggling, the days of bickering over price, they're pretty much over with. And you know, a lot of people don't seem to get that. They come in and say, what's the best price you got? And when I tell them, well, we don't put our second best price on the internet, they give me this look of disbelief. So, but I'm telling you, this is not a scam by the dealership. You go to any dealership, they'll tell you the same thing. The internet price is typically our very best price. Still, another thing to keep in mind before you come to the dealership is to bring all of your documentation. This can save you literally a ton of time. By documentation, there aren't a whole lot of documents that you need. You need your driver's license, obviously. You need the registration to your current vehicle if you're planning on trading it in. You need the title to your current vehicle if it's paid for. You need, and this is very important, your proof of insurance. Also, we don't always need this, but bring your proof of income and proof of residence. A telephone bill, an electric bill, a water bill that has your name and address on it. Going back to the insurance card, I cannot tell you how many times I have sat there waiting for a customer to produce a valid current insurance card. Please, please, please have your insurance card with you and ready to hand to your sales professional when you get there. You'll be amazed at how much time that will save you. Also keep in mind that car deals take time. This is the norm. The government has imposed so many regulations on our industry now. We have, oodles and oodles of paperwork that have to be done. The typical wait time is about 3 to 4 hours to buy a car. Now, there are things that you can do that can reduce that can expedite that process. Things like having your documents ready, having a vehicle in mind that you're going to be test driving, not driving 3 or 4 vehicles. And that's something else to keep in mind. Test driving a vehicle takes about 30 minutes per vehicle. So if you're coming there to test drive 4 vehicles, that's about 2 hours. So just on average, if you have your documents ready, you can expect to be at the dealership about 3 to 4 hours. Sometimes it could be less depending on the wait time in finance, but the norm is about between 3 and 4 hours typically. Last thing I want to talk about in this video is, does it matter which dealership you go to? I mean, if you go walk around our lot, you can find a really good Chevy Silverado 1500 pickup truck for about $45,000. Excellent truck. You can go to the GMC dealership in Nashville and find a really good Chevy Silverado 1500 for about $45,000. So other than location, why would you want to come to my dealership and buy a truck from me? Well, what if I told you that we offer a lifetime powertrain warranty? This is good for as long as you own the vehicle. It does not have to be serviced at our dealership or even at a GMC dealership. It can be serviced at any ASE certified mechanic shop anywhere throughout the US or Canada. Covers your engine, your transmission, your drive shaft, your axles, your water pump, your fuel pump, timing belt, timing chains, and a whole list of other things. So this is good for as long as you own that vehicle. It doesn't transfer if you sell the vehicle, but it is good for as long as you own the vehicle. I'll bet that would cause you to at least give us a second look. Am I right? So give me a call. Thank you for watching this video. This is Joey McGuire at GM of Murfreesboro and planetjoeymaguire.com. Give me a call at 615-605-5701, and I would love to talk with you more. I'll talk to you soon.